Welcome along to our September edition of Talking Trends, where each month I'm joined by a fitness industry leader to chat about the latest trends and predictions in 6 key areas. We talk about marketing, sales, managing teams, retention, fitness programming, and professional development. Now, today's guest is an international health, wellness, and anti-aging expert. She's a #1 best-selling author and speaker, and she's the newly appointed COO of CanFit Pro. Mo Hagan, welcome along to the show.
Thank you, Chantal. It's always great to be with you and be with the whole group.
We are so grateful to have you here today and really excited to dive straight into talking trends. So let's get cracking straight away. Talk to us about what you feel the trend is around the area of marketing in the fitness industry.
Well, most certainly here in Canada, we're seeing a big movement towards what the boutiques are doing to create marketing around experiences and events to really connect those that, really are attracted to that. The millennials, for one, which is our big chunk of the new membership. But it really is to create the connection. It's no longer about price point or, why you need to join today. It's about getting connected, getting involved, and starting your journey. And what I've really noticed, because here in Canada, we are seeing an explosion of the boutiques. We were a little bit late coming on the scene from what the US was doing, our neighbor. And now we're just following and learning from what the boutiques are doing. And it really is about events. We're seeing all the cool marketing around 30-day events and the Spinco bingos, where every day has a focus and 30 days later, there's a greater connection to members. The other thing I'm noticing, and it's not necessarily from boutiques, but it's from those smaller club operators that are focusing on why they are in business. It's their personal story, their personal transformation that got them into health and fitness, and they want to share that with their members. So that's setting them up to be really unique in the marketplace. And people are attracted to the stories, not to the sales pitch.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting what you're saying about that sort of personal perspective, because we all know that the way that so many people connect through social media is when they're authentic, when they're genuine, when they're showing their real selves and what happens in their real lives. So it makes sense that that kind of marketing approach, if you will, is really effective within the fitness industry specifically. And what you said about how the boutique studios are creating experiences, I think is really, really important, because what I see from that category is those experiences extend beyond the 4 walls of the studio. And I think that's really, really significant, because it's not about I go and do my class and I do it in that environment and then I leave and I return to the rest of my life. I actually think what they do incredibly well, which you touched on, is incorporating what happens outside of those 4 walls. When I go home, hey, there's my group fitness instructor on social media, motivating me and it's staying in touch with me. And so it becomes quite a holistic approach to marketing, doesn't it?
Well, holistic and 24/7.
Yeah.
And people love that. I mean, it's about the experience. It's about elevating them to feel successful. And when you've got your coach or your trainer or instructor saying, it's that transition in the day. It's 4:30. What are you doing after work? I hope you're at the gym, or I hope you're out enjoying the sunshine. That is the key. It's beyond the bricks and mortar for sure.
Yeah. And we're going to be talking about the group fitness kind of category a little bit more later on, which I know is an area that we both absolutely love. But I think that, again, that's been such an important piece in extending the marketing message, and that is empowering your group fitness instructors to represent your brand. And that's a big one. We will touch on later, I'm sure. So, yeah. So that's our marketing. Let's take a look at sales now. What are your thoughts as far as trends and predictions around sales within the fitness industry?
Well, I've always believed in that, the energy of pulling people towards a like-mindedness versus pushing them to buy. So I'd really like to be bold and say, let's stop selling and pushing people to buy. Let's start pulling them into what it is we can do for you and get them to want to buy. And that is what the boutiques are creating. They're very focused on that, their unique offer, the person that comes into typically a boutique knows exactly what they're getting, and that's what they want. And they don't need to actually put anything on sale. They don't need to convince them to buy. Price doesn't even come up. In fact, we know this from the pricing at boutiques. People know what they want. They want to buy it, and they want to be part of this community. So I sum it up by saying, stop trying to sell them. You don't have to make them, want to buy. You want them to buy from you. And that's really what the sales side is about. And the other thing too, we don't want to be price focused, but there's so many things we can do to monetize the experience. So they may walk in thinking they want to come to yoga, but before you know it, they want to feel like they're a yogi by wearing your clothing, or they want to wear your brand because they want to belong. And again, that's this community. They want to wear your gear when they're not exercising, carry your gym bag. So, it doesn't have to be just about that initial sale. It can be about getting them started where they want to start with what they want to participate in. And then you can layer up the offer or, upsell them when it's appropriate. But we really need to get focused on what do they want versus what do we want from them.
Yeah. And I've got to say, it's pretty extraordinary to hear some of the people that I speak to on the show, on the Fitness Business podcast. It astounds me the percentage of revenue that they get from that merchandise sale or that upsell. It's pretty incredible and very, very strong for a lot of businesses. And now, at the very beginning there, you mentioned that, we really need those people to know, like, and trust us before they're ready to buy from us or to set them up for buying from us. So with that in mind, how important is it that we have kind of our website singing with our Facebook page, with our Instagram page, because we know that people are making a purchasing decision before they step foot in the door a lot of the time. So
Absolutely.
in your experience, Mo, like, how important is that all of those things have synergy?
Critically important. And I've actually seen what happens when you do not have them synergized. I've grown up in a group of clubs, Good Life Fitness, where we've been wildly successful with that. Walk in the club and have a great first encounter, have a wonderful tour, prescribe what the person needs based on their needs, goals, and time frame. We've been so successful for 40 years based on that sales process. So now to bravely go where we've never really gone, and that is online selling, putting our prices out there, using all our social media and digital platform to create the experience before they even come in. So it's been a bit of growing pains and trust that this is the way that the new membership wants to experience you before they even come into the club, so that when they do come in, they are actually a much better lead or potential for becoming a new member.
Yeah, I think that's really important. It's a great opportunity for everyone that's watching is to have a think about whether or not your website and your social media experiences matches up to what they experience when they set foot in your club. Because if those two things are a mismatch, you're setting up the wrong foot, right?
The key being is part of that member journey starts before they even buy the membership.
Super important. Okay, so we've covered off marketing and sales. So let's move on to managing teams now. What are your thoughts around that area?
Well, having been part of two big growing companies, and I use the word growing, is that I've learned both from a strength perspective and a gap, is that if it's not focused on people and relationships and beginning with the end in mind, which is a classic Stephen Covey leadership principle, and that is, what's in it for me? Yeah. What is the associate looking for, and how can we align the company initiatives and goals with the associate initiatives and goals? And that's where it comes really down to, that classic saying, there's no I in team. So it can't be, well, here's what I want, and this is what you're going to do. It's more about, this is what the team is here to achieve. So start with your purpose. And that begins with understanding why we're here. Who do we serve? What is our purpose statement? And then developing values, core values around that. What do we stand for? And encouraging those values to be associate focused and customer focused, and then holding an accountability for living those values, beginning with your own leadership. So that's where leaders need to step up and understand that if something's not working, you got to look in the mirror and see what is it that I'm, projecting or perhaps saying but not doing, that because it really does start from the top. To manage team, it starts from yourself. And it really is about culture built from your core values. And then it is about centralizing your mission, purpose with the team, and then inviting conversation on a regular basis around how is it going? Where do they feel alignment? What's curious for them that's working and not working? And when we find that we have those ongoing conversations, then you don't have to wait for a 3, 6, or 1 year performance review to articulate or to realize we have a problem. The millennials don't want an annual review. They want to know every day what they're doing well and what they're not and how they can contribute better. And I would say that's a pretty good principle that we could all live by and work from.
I couldn't agree more, and I'm so glad that you brought it up. I actually read a fantastic article in Harvard Business Review this week. I posted it on my LinkedIn, and I'll put the link below so everyone can check it out. But it's about servant leadership, and one of the things that they talk about is one of the most important qualities of a leader is to ask a question, but then listen to the answer. And it sounds like such a simple principle, but you can learn so much about your team. You can connect with your team simply by listening to them and genuinely listening to them. And as a matter of fact, it just reminded me of an interview that I did with Sean Stewart a couple of weeks ago, and he talked about empathic listening, and it was really fascinating. So if anyone wants to check that out again, I'll put the link below so that you can take a listen. Now, Mo, you mentioned in there about how important it is to know our vision and our mission and know our why. So I feel like this is the perfect time for you to tell us about the wall of those incredible sticky notes that are sitting behind you right now. Tell us what's on that wall.
It's called a why wall. And it really is. It began as a pilot or an experiment to see if our members at CanFit Pro at our conference last year were really clear on why they are fitness professionals, why they're here. We know that we can deliver great education and we can empower people to learn more. But if they don't understand why they're here, it's just knowledge. So we started to talk about why. And we started to do that by sharing our why in terms of why we're here, to create fit and healthy lifestyles through fitness education, or my personal why to move people forward in the direction of their true purpose in life. And I use a platform of the fitness industry. And incredibly surprising was a large majority of people that I work with didn't know their why, or they didn't know how to articulate it. And when we help them learn this through the work of personal and professional development, of course, we all know Simon Sinek, start with why. He clearly helps us understand that the gold circle in the middle is the key, where most people focus on the what and the how, but they don't get to the true purpose, the why. I have been fortunate enough to work with what we call Canada's why guy, Jerry Visca. And he, I know why, and that's work I've done in part of my personal development journey. So it was a trial last year. And as you can see, we put this wall up. We just called it CanFit Pro, and we put one post-it in the middle. I know why. And we let people just put anything up there. And it just grew to the point where this year, I can tell you that every speaker I listened to began their presentation or somewhere within the presentation, whether it was business leadership, boot camps, a Les Mills event, they all expressed why I'm here. And it was a common theme that thread through it. And the strength of these leaders, has compelled them and propelled them to be even better than they've been ever before. I witnessed that myself. And people are absolutely more joyful and happy. And they feel like they know why they get up every day and why they serve the world the way they do. And that has lowered people's stress levels and increased engagement and happiness. It's been quite quite surreal to see what's happened from a simple why wall.
Well, I think it's phenomenal, and I've loved having that sort of as your backdrop today, because as I said to you when we first talking, I feel like there's such energy in that wall behind you, and as you were talking, I could see little words like inspire and live my best life, and little bits and pieces just popping out behind you. So I love the message behind creating that why wall. So thank you for telling us a little bit more about that. So Mo, let's move on to our next category, which is retention and customer service. What are your thoughts in that area?
Oh my gosh. There's so much you could say here, but you need to understand what that happy member journey is ideally. We have just not figured out in the fitness industry this whole retention thing. It irks me that we measure attrition, not retention. I mean, the mind will focus on what you feed it. So if we focus on who we lose, then we're going to be losing. Okay, I can make that happen. We need to get to the point where we're talking about all the things we're doing really well to keep members. And it's about understanding their journey, their pain points, their successes, and really at the end of the day, what is it that they really, really want? What is our members' why? I can tell you this, we might think it's to lose weight and it's to look better. But if you really get to the heart of the matter, it's to be happier. It's to be healthier. It's to be able to, be there for their kids and their grandkids, and to be able to work with vitality and to show up happy. It's those soft skills. It's the emotional intelligence. So understanding the happy member journey, understanding where your pain points are, and then getting the type of consulting as a business owner to know how to work through the pain points in your business. We all have our pain points. And then understanding how we can leverage the power of our members through social connection. Because our members sell our business.
Yes.
They tell everyone when they love it, and they tell even more when they don't. So if we can create social connections, and we're doing that now through, again, our digital platforms. We're doing it through the use of technology, not just to measure performance and help people get better results, which we know is why wearable technology is a trend, but it's also the gamification where you can keep score. Adults are like big kids. They love to keep score. They love to know where they are in the pile or with the members to see where they rank and who they can beat this week, or, how strong they're becoming and they're on par. I could be, as fit as you, Chantal, and be able to get as many MEP points as you with my zone in your spinning class. That's when I ride, I come in tired. If I see your score on the screen, I suddenly have more energy. I perform better. I get better results. I'm going to keep coming back to your class. Yeah. So it's about leveraging the social connection, understanding the member journey, and attaching value and performance rewards along the way to that service, so that people are actually getting rewarded along the way. Even if it's just simply, thank you for coming in. Oh, it's your birthday today. You've done 30 yoga classes in the last 3 months. Here's a towel. Like, just recognizing our members for everything they do inside the club and even outside the club.
I've got to say that power of gamification that you referred to when you referenced MyZone, it's extraordinary. Just the power of actually how that can help your members, motivate them to get into the club, motivate them to spend longer in their workouts, and increase that enjoyment factor is amazing. We had a bit of a fun kind of, a MyZone Global MEP challenge in January of this year, where I just kind of grabbed a handful of my friends from around the world and said, hey, let's just do a fun thing, first to 5,000 MEPs for the month of January, right? So it was just kind of a whole lot of people from around the world. I have never worked out more in my life. So when we started doing a challenge, it was unbelievable. And you suddenly saw kind of that competitive nature of people. Yep. But it got us all more active, and we were all fitness professionals. Yep. But it got us moving more and us back to our facility.
Oh my gosh, it's so true. And although I wasn't part of your challenge, next time I did.
Yeah, you're on this year for sure.
Yeah, on the team. But I have been caught more times on the phone at 11:30 or 12 o'clock at night, walking wall to wall hotel room so I can get my point, get my ring filled in. It's awesome. But we know that will help retain people when they see scores.
Correct.
And the result is that they see results.
Yeah.
But it's through the use of technology and the community that they're part of. So that is the key. And what I've come to realize is, I say this to associates all the time. You don't have to work harder to get better retention. You have to work smarter. And one of the best steps is on a tour. This has always been my best tip for people is on a tour with a prospect, introduce them to a member that is similar to that prospect's needs, goals, fears, wants, desires, body type, whatever, and meet them because now they know somebody. It's why group fitness works. If they know somebody, they'll come out for them. They won't, and of course they will. It's great when they get meted at the front desk, but it's more about the member connections that will help with retention than just the connection with the associates.
Yeah, I love that piece of advice, and especially not just introducing them to anyone, but introducing them to someone that they will relate to, that is similar to them. That's a great piece of advice. So Mo, let's move on to our favorite topic, fitness programming. Tell us what your thoughts are in regards to trends and predictions in that area.
Oh my gosh, I could talk forever, but it is absolutely interesting what is going on. I would say it's one of the most diverse times in the fitness industry for fitness programming. A number of things. There are blurred lines between large group training and small group training, which is wonderful because we're getting the cross-pollination of talent, personal trainers that are venturing into small group. Then there's the group fitness instructor coming into small group, which eventually both groups develop confidence to teach on the other side of the fence. So we're actually not only cross-pollinating our talent, but we're providing them with more opportunities to create careers. Because now if I can personally train all day and teach a couple fitness classes, or when I come to that point where I can't teach more fitness classes, but I can do one-on-one training or small group coaching, then I can serve more members, make more money, be more successful, and become the fitness authority that is my why in my community. So that's the one thing that I wanted to point out. The other thing is the diversity of experiences from the on-demand to the virtual to the live experience. We can now connect with members even if they're not within our bricks and mortar of our club. We can have members that don't even come into our club be a member because they're doing it through the online digital experience, or they stream into our virtual platform or our live classes. But I have to say, disclaimer, nothing will replace the live experience. Now we're starting to see trends around the world where virtual classes are becoming the dominant offer in a club schedule. And then the live classes become the destination where you can now lift up your instructors and create rock stars because they come out for the talent on the times of the week, like the weekends where they've got more time to be in the gym. Whereas during the week, perhaps, depending if you're cosmopolitan or suburban, you might just pop into a virtual class at an odd hour of the morning or night, but on the weekend, you'll come in and take your live class. So we have to have, those offers. I really believe that we shouldn't fear virtual because it's allowing us to tap into a market that would never come into a live class and also helps build confidence for those members. The other couple things I'm seeing is the mindfulness movement with recovery classes, yin yoga, breathing classes, meditation, sleep. People come into our mind dens and just sleep. And they have 30 minutes where they're guided through meditation. That's what they want to do. And that's their class, their experience. So we got to accept that there's more than one way to experience fitness today. And then of course, CanFit Pro loves to do trend surveys. So, there's so much diversity, but I just wanted to say that in Canada, here at CanFit Pro, we measured through our membership the most effective training trends for 2019. And we found that active recovery hit the number 2 spot, just to validate that, and mindfulness, which we've never seen before. There's your HIIT and there's your low impact, high intensity, we call it LIT. There's your functional fitness, which is continuing to be strong because you can find it in body weight, express workouts, and, branded group fitness experiences. But what I'll probably end with is 2 trends that I really believe are what's creating the creativity and the diversity for everyone to enjoy in programming is the branded fitness experiences by experts where you can purchase the licensing, or the instructor carries their own license to teach anything from Zumba to Les Mills to the soul body, on and on and on. Or you can have the fusion style classes where you can have unique instructors with unique talent teach both a spin and a yoga all in the same time, one right after the other. And you can have a fusion style class, which meets more interests of more people. So it fills the classes. And those are probably a few of the many, but the ones that we're really seeing work and do really well here in Canada and in North America.
There are some great insights in there, Mo, and I must admit, I think Emma Barry mentioned about those fusion classes, and I wouldn't say that we've really seen a lot happening here, but she mentioned that they're quite big in the US, obviously Canada, and also Asia, that it's kind of coming in, that fusion concept. But I did want to touch on something that you talked about, which is that whole idea, or I guess a fear of some people when it comes to virtual fitness live streaming and traditional group fitness classes, that kind of mindset of, we'll lose our jobs, or people will go just to the live streaming and the virtual classes. But one of my guests, and I've been racking my brain to think of who it is, I think it was either Emma Barry or Carrie Keppel, said this to me, and it's always painted the best picture, and that is, we can listen to music, we've got Spotify or whatever, or listen to CDs, and we've got that great experience, but nothing will ever replace going to a live rock concert. So if you think about group fitness in that same way, that entire experience that you get when you walk into a group fitness class and you've got your instructor up the front and you've got your friend standing next to you, and just that feeling that you get in that room, that is so special and so unique. So I truly, I'm a traditional group fitness instructor, but I also do a lot of virtual fitness videos as well, like so many of us do. I truly believe there is space for both of those things.
Yeah,
and
we're on the same there for sure.
Yeah, and don't you I love the rock concert and the music, because what a perfect comparison.
And they one feeds the other. I mean,
absolutely.
I went to the Pink concert. I can't, it was worth every penny, and I paid a lot of money to get floor seats. But my love for Pink grew and grew by listening to her music, but nothing would replace the passion of seeing her live. And I thought about it, and you bring it up, is that's what I want to create in my fitness class. So what am I going to do to pink it out in my classes going forward? So you got to be a bit unique and radical, but that's what will keep them coming back. It's not for that perfect fitness class that's the same every day because it's perfect choreography. It's when you are uniquely yourself and you're there for the right reason. Again, back to your why. It's not because I want to be perfect. It's how can I change lives today and create experiences that are memorable? I call them those magnificent moments when I teach. And sometimes it's when I literally fall off the stage or try some new choreography that doesn't work, or it did work. And I'm like, wow, that was new. I've never seen that before. And they all laugh. So that's a critical piece. And the other piece of virtual, I'll take it back to managing teams.
Yes.
We spent 2 years speaking with our instructors before we brought virtual on, because it took that long to build their trust. And even then, we didn't get the trust of all instructors, but they soon began to come around, and some of them came on board right away. And the more we involved them, so I have a couple tips on that, but the more we involved them in the virtual experience, the more they came on board with it. And now they rely on virtual to introduce group fitness, to be their sub when they can't get to the club because of weather or personal emergencies, and they'll now rely on it. And the last thing is, when we introduce virtual, it raised the bar for instructors, because they literally said, but then we'd have to actually be better than we are, because they're going to compare us to the real Les Mills. And we're like, yes, they are. So yes, maybe you should raise your game a bit. So it's been a very positive, but it took time and patience to get our front line to feel confident around it. So
you just slipped in there that you've got a couple of tips as to how you kind of convinced them and talked them into being part of it. Do you want to quickly share a couple of those with us?
Absolutely. So the first one is that when we taught a live class, we would actually take a few minutes at the end. So I teach a combo class where I'll teach, body pump followed by a core class. And I'll put on a virtual core and do it with my members. And I will empower them through my edification of, let's do this class together. And I will set them up for core, and I will let that perfect class on virtual lead. And then the members go, wow, if Mo likes it, we're going to like it. So then when Mo can't make core, which I think has happened once this year, then they'll go, oh, we'll just do virtual. So they trusted it because I loved it. And if they say, well, if Mo likes it, then it's got to be good. And then, of course, in instructor workshops, we took some of the education or the experience of a coaching aspect, and we put on a Les Mills, body step or combat class. We said, now watch how Dan and Rachel teach the connection of teaching a new move or whatever it might be. And we put the virtual platform on, and we used it as a coaching opportunity with instructors who either never tried virtual, never looked at it, didn't know how to use virtual. That's my third point. And they went, wow, that's great. Oh my gosh, the quality is amazing. Yeah. So then they were actually less intimidated to use it, which leads me to my third point. Most instructors will stay far away from virtual because they don't know how to use it or they don't know how to promote it without feeling like they're selling themselves away or giving, saying, well, go to that because it's better than me. So we teach them how to use the virtual platform. We sell them on what the benefits are to help engage more people to come into their class if you give them a less intimidating way to get started. So you're actually helping people get started. And when they're ready to join a live class, they will think of you because you're the one that took the time to show that new member virtual to begin with.
That are fantastic pieces of advice. So thank you for going through those with us, Mo. And I just want to wrap up this particular section by saying, for anyone that has been listening to us talk about and say the words, obviously traditional group fitness, virtual group fitness, but you might have also heard Mo and I say live streaming classes, which I think is a term that might be new to a number of people that are watching if you haven't been exposed to that or experienced that. So for anyone that would like more information on what that means and how that looks, then I'm going to put a link below, which is a direct link to an interview that I did with a lady by the name of Lauren Fundos, who has a live streaming setup called Forte, and she very clearly explains how that can work within a club environment. So for anyone that's not familiar with that term, there's a really great explanation in that interview with Lauren. So Mo, we're up to our final section now, which is professional development, an area that I know both you and I love dearly. So what are your thoughts around that area?
Never stop learning, personal. And I really have to say, many of us focus on professional development, achieving that next level, that next certification, that next title, but they forget about the personal development because it really it needs to start with, yourself. And there are many fitness professionals that serve, give of themselves so much that they actually burn out because they've forgotten to take care of themselves, or as they say on the airplane, put their own oxygen mask on first in the case of, helping others getting out of a situation. So personal development is critical. And I often will coach people to say, what is important to you? Begin with the end in mind. Why are you here? How do you see yourself achieving that? And by when? Be timely. And then what is it that excites you? What type of development? Is it practical? Is it reading? Is it podcasts? Is it being in a mastermind group? Align with what works for them. It's just like our members' needs, because if you say, well, Mo, you need to go to, live, you need to listen online and read books, you've lost me. But if I can turn my car into a library of active learning through listening to, fitness business podcasts, which is what I do when I drive to and from Toronto, that's basically 6 hours of travel, then I'm actually developing myself as I'm driving. So personal development, professional development, it is absolutely priceless. Find your favorite tool that works for you and join that community, because you become addicted to it. And that's what will keep you engaged. If I feel like I've gone a week without listening to one of your podcasts, I feel like I skipped school. I do. I feel like I've skipped school, and I feel like there's something missing. And the more that you develop yourself professionally and personally, the more that you can be absolutely holistically present, healthy, happy, and do your best work. And when I'm stuck and I feel frustrated or impatient, or I feel like I'm in a rut, or I feel like I'm something's missing, when I analyze it, I haven't done anything for myself in the area of personal or professional development. And that's where I go to what serves me, which is live number one, or I call a friend, because I need that kinesthetic connection. So know what your primary social motive is. For me, it is affiliation. I need to be around like-minded people. For others, it's achievement. They can do it all on their own, and that's great. And for others, it's challenge to work with others, like you mentioned about the My Zone challenge. They need to be a bit competitive with something or someone to raise their own game.
They're all fantastic points, Mo. And I love what you said about, for you utilize that driving time to have your professional development and have your learning. And someone once described to me or said to me, listening to podcasts in the car is like a university on wheels or a college on wheels. And I love that because it's so true. I mean, and I always feel as though because you are driving, and personally I listen now, I've started trail running, so I'll go out for a couple of hours and listen to my audiobooks, my podcast. But there are two times where you're not looking at your phone. You're not, you don't have someone knocking on your door to have a meeting with you or whatever. There are times where you can fully immerse yourself in learning or in growing. And as you say, professional development, but also personal development is such an important piece of that. So we've covered off all of our 6 topics now, Mo. So let's move on to our final part of Talking Friends. And let's talk a little bit about you. Tell us, what are you up to in the next couple of months? What events are you speaking at? Just give us a little bit of an insight into Mo's calendar coming up.
Thank you. Well, Mo's calendar seems to be pretty much a Canadian tour this year. I love to travel, and it actually, preparing to speak to you today, I realized I'm all Canadian. I have a multiple of trips to our CanFit Pro regional events this fall. That's what I focused on this spring. It's because of my new role. I want to be present. I'm the keynote speaker in all our events this fall, and I'm speaking on the why power of motivation, which is all of this work, because again, it's where we begin. When we can help people tap into that, it's so emotional, and it actually propels people to then go off and learn and feel even more connected to their community. So I'm going to be traveling out west all fall. I'm out in Calgary and Edmonton and Vancouver. You can certainly learn more about the CanFit Pro events through canfitpro.com. Look under the events page, it'll all come up. So that's where you can catch me. I also have a plan at this moment to do a little bit of work. I'm considering going to the Global Wellness Summit in Hong Kong.
Right. Yep.
But there's a little bit of disruption going on there. And I'll also be going to FIBO in the USA in Miami, not only because of the destination, but because of the WIFA event, Women in Fitness Association. I'm uber passionate about what women are doing in the fitness industry to open doors for others to follow. I mentioned earlier, I'm the keynote speaker at our conferences. I'm also doing a lot in the area of leadership and what drives success. And of course, because I love a workout that I've been teaching for 26 years, I take it into the industry to help fitness instructors and personal trainers understand what the ultimate workout is for healthy mind-body aging. And it is based on a workout I've done at Good Life Fitness for 27 years called New Body, which actually I found backpacking in Australia in 1991.
You're kidding.
And I found it in Australia, fell in love, and met Lexi Williams, who I thought, who made this workout? It's amazing. It's simple. Men and women do it. I love the learning curve, and I love the functionality of it back then. I brought in my physiotherapy skills and I kind of morphed it into something a little different. I asked Lexi for permission to use the name, and it has been one of the most popular classes in our group fitness programs. So I have built that out as a branded pre-choreographed program 4 times a year. It goes out to instructors, and but I teach it in the industry as the ultimate workout for healthy mind body aging. And then lastly, I started an event you know a lot about, Women of Influence, and it's morphed into women who I do Women Who Influence, but it's morphed into Women of Influence events around the globe in the fitness industry specifically. We just had our 6th annual Women Who Influence event, and I haven't got the final numbers, but I think we reached 300 women. So, and a lot of great speakers that you interviewed were part of that this year. And it's been an incredible journey and growth for women, and to give them a platform to speak out, to stand up, to find their voice, to raise the ceiling for women and opportunities in the fitness industry. And now we're seeing them bust those ceilings and push through those obstacles. So I'm really proud of the work that I've been doing and I've been part of with amazing women in the industry through that. So we're taking Women Who Influence on the road now from Toronto. We're going to be doing it at our regional event starting in Vancouver in November. So that's very exciting. So yeah, it's all Canadian for Mo Hagan these days.
It is. So when we say where in the world is Mo, we can pretty much narrow it down to Canada for the next few months.
You can guess that somewhere in Canada. I'll have to make it a little bit mysterious so you can learn where.
So we can guess where you are. Exactly. Well, look, Mo, just on behalf of everyone that is watching and listening today, thank you so much, not only for coming on to Talking Trends and taking us through those key areas, but just for everything that you are doing and have done for the global fitness industry. Congratulations on your new role with CanFit Pro. It's only early days, and I know that you have just hit the ground running. It has been a phenomenal couple of months since we caught up, I think in July, I think it was. So once again, just congratulations on everything that you're doing, and thank you for everything that you do for our industry and for women in fitness, and thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you, and it's always great to be with you. I love what you're doing, and you're my favorite podcast, fitness business podcast, and I refer to anybody in the fitness industry because that's the best learning that you can get.
Thank you so much. That means the world. Means the world. Thank you, Mo.
Well, thank you.
We're done.